Welcome back to the fourth class. So, in the last class, we talked about novel weapon hypothesis and bioherbicides. Today, we will change the trajectory and we will move to the livestock. My journey with livestock in a formal sense started in the year 1994 when I joined National Dairy Research Institute, Karnal in the state of Haryana for my master's degree in animal physiology. That was the first time when in a formal setting I saw how an animal farm really looks like. Prior to that I have seen that in villages or other places in my home, but I never really saw such a big farming unit, and thereafter I kept on visiting different places like IVRI and other places, and I saw these different livestock farms. Livestock farms comes with a lot of advantages and risk associated with it. One of the major thing you have to realize, it's just like a human community. Livestock suffers from diseases, livestock suffers from communicable diseases, livestock suffers from chronic diseases, and it is a very different world. And the challenging part is many a times, many of these livestock diseases jumps from the livestock to the human population, and that's a big challenge. Second thing, you can alter or you can destroy the economy of any region by introducing certain specific kind of disease in the livestock. One is the natural diseases, the other one is that you introduce something, and livestock suffer from as many diseases as humans suffers from. So, that is why livestock security is of immense significance in the future of biosecurity. I have mentioned one thing when we talk about the fishes, but now we are talking about bigger animals like cows, buffaloes, camels, horses, and these are livestock which are used across the world for multiple purposes, from food, transportation and everything. Now, in terms of livestock, it has been highlighted that if you go through the slide, India is the hot spot for emerging infectious diseases, and livestock are source of infectious diseases, and past epidemiological studies have reported the prevalence of zoonosis associated with the farm animals. Some important zoonoses are brucellosis, anthrax, toxoplasmosis, Q fever, Crimean-Congo hemorrhagic fever. These are infections that people can get from animals, and specifically the children with compromised immune system are at higher risk for those infections. So, whenever you are running, whether a small animal farm, livestock farm or larger livestock farm, you need to have a complete understanding, or you have a surrounding support system to understand the disease epidemics associated with it, and specifically in a world where animal production is done in a very large scale. Say for example, in poultry. Poultry, as we will be discussing, is one of the most susceptible one. If one bird gets infected, most likely it is going to spread like a wildfire. The whole room is going to get infected in no time. So, all these animals, all these birds needs different kind of vaccination protocols. They have to be prevented. So, now moving to the next slide, if you look at it, in terms of India, if you look at it, biosecurity in livestock production system includes measures that can be implemented by animal producers at the farm level to manage the risk of infectious diseases in their premises. It represents the basic disease control measures against endemic and exotic diseases. It is either external or internal. There is one more important part here, it is worth highlighting. So, if you currently see most of the cow breeds or the milk producing cow breeds, you will observe they are hybrid of European and the Indian traditional breeds. So, now already there is a lot of movement of animal which has been done in at the genetic level. Now, any kind of such animal movement has to go through a lot of quarantine protocols, because it is just like the challenge what we talked about in plants, alien species, alien invasive species. Similarly, any alien thing which does not belong to the geographic or biogeographic region has to be monitored. So, say for example, the traditional cow breeds, Ongol and all these older cow breeds which were in this biogeographic regions of India, they were not suffering from some of the diseases which were prevalent in European subcontinent. But with the hybrid cows coming, with the genetic mixing, some of these diseases are now common among Indian livestock, which were not there earlier. Because of their anatomical changes which took place, they are not having that hump anymore, they have a flat back, their udders are much closer to the ground, they get infections, they catches infections far more. And if you look at the older Indian breeds, they are much more taller versus the one which are shorter post hybrid. And these post hybrid ones which are higher milk producer have the propensity to get infected more versus the traditional species which were there. And the same thing has happened across the whole livestock arena. There are a lot of things. Of course, the intentions were never that. The intentions were always very noble intentions that, we have to feed the people. But then every mixing from the existing co-evolution, if you guys remember in the last class, I was narrating through the co-evolution concept. Whenever in that co-evolutionary milieu we introduce something from outside, it will affect the ecological balance of the system, and these are man-made ones, of course with a very great intention of feeding the people, but then it comes at a cost. There is always a cost benefit ratio. Now, the cost is this: you have to have a complete biosecurity protocol, and coming here, biosecurity in animal production system can be divided into 5 stages or compartments to highlight the importance not only in terms of animal health, but also its role in protection of public health and environment. This is extremely important from the zoonosis perspective. Now, if you look at the 5 stages or compartments of livestock biosecurity, it starts with bio-exclusion. So, for example, you suspect an animal in your farm is having some issues, exclude it, separate it, or it is almost like in your family somebody is suffering from a disease, fever or something. You put that person in another room separately, so that if it is communicable, it does not spread out, right, the first thing. The second aspect is that, as I was mentioning almost, biocompartmentalization, space 2. So, these 5 compartments are, first one is the bio-exclusion, second one we are talking about the biocompartmentalization, preventing the spread of a pathogen within the farm, that is compartment. You are separating them out. It is just like in your family, somebody is not well, you put that individual in another room, so that everybody in the family does not get infected, right. Fine. And third thing is biocontainment. That means you are containing, you are physically separating that individual in one room, that animal, so that, or that human, so that that remain contained there, it does not spread out. That is the biocontainment strategy. The fourth strategy is bioprevention. Bioprevention is what are the measures you have to take forward in order to spread of the zoonotic pathogen to human. So, you are preventing it, you are ensuring that it does not spread to another species. Say for example, a particular pathogen which is existing in the animal does not jump over to the human, because in that situation, say for example, it is a milk producing cow. So, you cannot use that milk because you do not know whether the pathogen has moved through the blood vessel into the milk. So, you have to be extremely careful about anything, because if those of you who remember the mad cow disease, there was a time when sale of beef and all these things were completely prevented across Europe because animals were carrying pathogens. So, these are something you have to be extremely cautious when you are maintaining animal farm or avian farm. We will be coming to that. The next thing is biopreservation, which is the fifth step in this group, which is essentially we are talking about biopreservation or preventing the environmental contaminant. So, these are the 5 major pillars where you have to ensure the livestock biosecurity is being maintained in an animal farm. So, now we talk about the poultry, as I was mentioning, highlighting the part that poultries are the most susceptible ones. For some reason or other, those who are into poultry business, they are always at a risk, because either this is an inherent challenge with the avian species. If you keep a large flock, they pick up diseases very fast. There are of course other issues because of the feces and all those things which has to be cleaned up, because if you ask a poultry farmer, if you ask the people who are going broilers for chicken, they will always say they have to keep the whole place extremely clean and hygienic. They have to remove all the feces and everything. They have to vaccinate these poultries. And one more interesting thing is that with high production of broilers across the world, it has been observed that the inherent immunity of the poultry or avians have been compromised due to this large scale flock production. What are the reasons? What are the evolutionary reasons? We do not know, but we know one thing: just like when you have a large stretch of crops, they are more susceptible to any kind of attack from insect or pest. Exactly in the same way, because whenever there is a alien invader coming into the situation, the more number of opportunities it will infect. So, since we are now growing crops or raising animals in large scale, so in a small area we have a huge population. So, in a small area when you have a huge population, the chances, it's a double-edged sword. Either the whole population will be resistant to something, or the whole population will succumb to a pathogen. It can go both ways. And this is something which has been observed. The latter one is true, that it succumb, and specifically in the poultry. So, there are multiple measures you have to follow in poultry, that specifically if you follow this first 3 lines, there is a huge amount of cleanliness which is being demanded. There is a lot of the seclusion from the surrounding is being followed. So, if you follow the previous one, all those rules, bio-exclusion, bio-compartmentalization, bio-containment, bio-preservation and bio-prevention, everything is being followed here, but it is shown in a far more diagrammatic fashion that all these things have to be followed in the poultry production business, because poultry production is extremely susceptible to such all these kind of menace. So, if you look at the whole scenario of animal production, there are multiple level of control which has to be exerted. Another area which hasn't been mentioned here, which I am going to highlight, is the vector-borne diseases which affect the animal production in Africa and in Asia. There are a lot of these insects which carries multiple vectors which infects the livestock. Overall, if you look at it, there are 3 disease control aspects in a map: environmental control, terminal hygiene and cleaning and disinfection, and active site security. So, in this case, we are talking about the poultry. So, these are the 3 pillars, how you can prevent it, and of course, you have to have a very well established protocol for medication, deworming program and vaccination. So, if you look at it, the modern day production of avians or animal livestock is extremely costly affair because of all these multiple regions, because you are producing them in a large number. As I was mentioning just a few minutes back, that there are 2 things: either the whole population will succumb or the whole population will resist. But as you are giving them everything, their immunity is kind of lower versus when they grow in the wild. So, there is a challenge of wild versus domestic, and probably as more and more evolutionary aspect we will understand, we will realize that why this kind of distinctions are picking up. So, these are some of the basic of biosecurity measures which one needs to take. And when we talk about this terminal hygiene and cleaning, so you have to be thorough with the equipment cleaning, housing has to be extremely cleared up, and the source of water from where you are feeding these animals. Similarly, with the environmental, you have to be careful with the wild birds because they could be the carrier of disease. Rodents, they are again can carry vector-borne pathogen. Insects, they also can carry vector-borne pathogen, and other livestock. And in terms of active site security, you have to have a litter management. I have already mentioned this is a big challenge. Disposal of firm death and the human interaction, the feed from where it is coming, the vehicles which are coming to the facility, and the hatchery. These have to be all separated out. So, if you look at it, you should have a hazard analysis and critical control point. You should have flock health plan and disease control policy, and you have exclusion and quarantine and sampling policies. In a way, if you look at it, it is almost like if you have to maintain a livestock system or an avian system, you have to have almost a epidemic control unit, hospitalization, quarantine, and ensuring all the support bases to prevent any kind of intruding elements, be it animal, be it rodent, be it birds, be it even human, in order to get the maximum out of it. So, as I am understanding that more and more as we are advancing, maintaining livestock will have to go through a whole range of measures in the decades and the years to come. And that brings us to the Agriculture Biosecurity Bill of India, which was put in the context in the year 2013, and we will briefly go through this in our next class before moving into the biosecurity of human and bioterrorism and bioweapons. Thank you.